Welcome to Lyndon's Fishing. My name's Lyndon Amizar. What I'm going to do is jump straight into high and low performance for 5 minutes to give all you anglers out there at level 1, beginner level, level 2, intermediate angler, level 3, advanced, and level 4, those in search of mastery, a heads up of how I'm going to talk in the future and how I would like to talk to you, because if you're chasing your dream, you need to have fundamentals that assist you to cut through the fog in fishing. And this is how I want to talk to a level 1 angler. Do you understand what level you're at? Do you think you're level 3, a professional angler? Are you a level 2 angler in your mind, but a level 1 angler with ability? Where are you exactly today as an angler if you were to assess yourself in 4 levels? So 1, that's your point on a map. 2, where do you want to get to? 3, how quickly do you want to get there? 4, how do we maximize your genetic capability? 5, maybe what are your lifestyle considerations from work, say, or how far away is your local fishery? And 6, how many times do you go fishing? What is your frequency of fishing? So 7 might be, what are you prepared to sacrifice? You sacrifice an improvement speed. So straight away, we have 2 points on a map now. 1, where the angler perceives they are or really are. I mean, you can test that. And 2, where they want to get to, in what time period and at what cost. That's it. You could do that for a level 2 angler or a seasonal angler. The people you see posting online as well, they might want to stay there, or they might want to get to be a professional angler at level 3, which is professional for a reason. Okay, it requires a lot of sacrifices. And then we'll be using the frequency of fishing, how many times you fish. You might fish too much or not enough. So that will be critical to mapping a straight line forward, cutting through the fog in fishing. And then if you're a professional angler, you want to win that tournament once in your life, okay, or stay in the top 100 or make the top 100 or catch that great fish with your family, be the best you can be, like a Kung Fu grandmaster, in a philosophical way, doing your own training, your own fishing. And you might want to catch a fish with 1 cast or fewer casts as possible. That might be your goal in life. To do that, you need to really dial in your frequency of fishing and how you're managing that. So see straight away how clinical that is. Where are you on the 4 phases of fishing, the 1, 2, 3, or 4? Where do you want to get to? How quickly do you want to get there? And so forth. Then how many times a year do you fish, the frequency of fishing? So straight away, if you don't know those 2 equations, you don't know where you are in fishing, so you don't know where you are with a point on a map. You don't know where you're going to get to, or how you're going to get there, or how quickly you're going to get there. And it's not real. It's a bit more fake and it's a bit more confused. So I want to talk like this in the future, very clinical, very strategic, using principles, those 2 principles I just mentioned then, 4 phases and the frequency of fishing. So for all you high-level anglers out there, or people that are high level and humans that care that other people live and hopefully put food on the table and live a good life and taking care of the environment as well, for that group, that's the group I want around. For the people that are going to be abusive, racist, sexist, try and tell us they know everything and it's all been done before in fishing, that's not the group I want to be talking to or hanging around, because mentally they're probably not going to be very good for anyone I take out on tour. That's how the future podcast will hopefully sound and look. I just wanted to get this in right at the start because I've already recorded an introduction and much of it addressed the behaviors that I don't want to see. And I've just got some feedback that maybe the higher level people won't see the podcast benefits to them unless I record something very direct like this. So what's your frequency of fishing right now? What's your plan with the frequency of fishing to get to your goal? Would that plan stand up to someone else having a good look at it? Are you fishing too much? Are you not fishing enough? What are you doing? Are you improving? Are you getting close to your goal? Or has someone with 20 years less fishing caught up to you or overtaken you? Now, as soon as they've done that, you know you've got problems in your system. So straight away, we would have to have a look at where you're really at in the 4 levels, and also what's your frequency of fishing plan straight up to improve, because you might be going the wrong way. You might be doing the wrong thing. It might not be as efficient. If we have a good look at it and take it seriously and really respect it, you can rely on the frequency of fishing to cut a line straighter towards your goal and not just be reliant on moon, tide, or the weather. Yeah, plan fishing with principles outside of that as well to combine with the weather, the target fish, not just the weather and target fish, which was called the old system. That's called a fundamental of fishing. Enjoy the rest of the podcast. Hit like, share, follow if you like what you hear. If you want to know more in a specific area, let me know. But thank you for tuning in and enjoy the introduction to my first podcast. Welcome to the podcast. My name's Lyndon Anlysark. I've recorded the beginning of this podcast many, many times over the decades, and I've been recording fishing history, evolution, and how people improve for over 20 years as a sports coach, a tour guide, and an angler myself. Much of this is done in outback Australia, so I'm going to bring you a varied show. The 4 phases of fishing frequency is a clip I loaded up mid-2024. As I record today, it's April 2025. So you might look up Lyndon's Fishing, LYNDONS _fishing, maybe on YouTube and other social media sites to check that out, because I have images going back to the 1970s there. And for the last 20 years, I've been doing a lot of history recording, especially in Australia with Rod Harrow Harrison. He's a global angler, maybe the last angler to actually do all of that in that iconic era before the internet. So I'll have Harrow on the show at times, and we'll cover history, we'll cover the present, and also the future. I'm a sports coach, so we'll be covering high performance. I'll also be covering mental health, as I'm qualified in those areas, and I'm passionate about helping Australians, but also people from around the world have better mental health. And I've used fishing in the outdoors in programs to help people with mental health. And that's when I was studying the 6 Aboriginal seasons in Kakadu National Park and Arnhem Land, where Crocodile Dundee was filmed. Part of a fantastic program where we manage the health and wellness of employees living in remote regions, which can put a lot of stress on people. At the moment, I have 4 articles out this month. NAFA magazine, I have a article on culvert fishing. So culverts are those pipes that go under the road, water flows under, creates a predator-prey relationship, and the mighty and iconic species of barramundi here in Australia, which has been painted on Aboriginal caves for potentially 20 to 50,000 years, hunts bait fish there. I've actually taken people on tours to fish these locations, as is a fantastic place to learn. So I have an article out in NAFA, should be on the shelves now. I have a billabong, which is a freshwater lake, which can join rivers in the wet season. A billabong fishing article, part 2, in freshwater fishing in Australia, so keep an eye out for that. And I have 2 articles in Fish and Boat magazine. So history, philosophy, and fun there, and also how to fish May, the early dry season, the Aboriginal season of Yek in Arnhem Land or in Kakadu there, just around that region, part of those 6 seasons. The roads are graded, cattle stations start mustering, people start getting outdoors, going fishing and camping and exploring, and the temperatures drop. So we have a bit of respite there from about 7 to 8 months of extremely hot weather. The second part of the roundup is that I've been to state and watching national titles in sport, particularly athletics. So I'm really, really into my athletics, been an athlete back in the day myself, and I'm looking forward to about a 7.5-year run up now to the 2032 Olympics in Brisbane, Australia, in Queensland, and hopefully all the people up north and out west and down south can get to that event. I went to the 2000 Olympics to watch some family compete there, and it's one of the greatest events I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen so many Australians happy, even on the train ride to work in the morning. So there you go. I've also been studying mastery systems, which is what I pretty much do for my own work, and that includes everything in life you see. So it could be from anywhere. In one diary alone, I have about 10,000 notes on mastery, just in one diary, to give you an inkling of what I do. And it's really cool to cross-reference that with some fishing as well, but also what I've studied at university or different colleges, what I've studied as a tour guide with indigenous culture as well, and also from the business sector, remote resources sector, all different systems from safety to their basic business philosophy and all the different books and personal development I've read. So it's been a culmination of about 50 years and 400,000 hours of life. I go at it fairly full on and I combine all of it. So I have about 15 different backgrounds. Look, I have recorded a 40-minute and even a 2-hour version of my background. But what I might do is post maybe 10 minutes of it up in a few podcasts in the future, just so I can break things up. When you map people's blood pressure, I found they can get a bit touchy when you're doing health and wellness, and they don't like what I call reality. But in high performance sport, we'll measure a bench press, push up, body fat, 40-meter sprint time. And we're fairly clinical, okay? Just like the nurse and the doctor are when you go for your checkups. We have to deal with a form of reality that is very, very much aligned with maybe science or university. And that's a point on a map. That's reality. Nearly everyone you meet in fishing hates that in a way. It's the way to get the best information possible to help you at your level with your goals. However, everyone wants to think they're a Jedi. So people, if they're jealous or insecure, if they're sort of lower level people, they're not high level people, not nice people, not caring people, they'll try and sabotage instead of support. So I need you to watch that. They're pushing you or me down an evil road, I call it, a very bad road, a low performance road. And that's the road I mapped when I was in mental and physical health and workplaces that push people through bullying, donation, harassment, belittling, stalking, anxiety, depression, and suicide. So we don't want to go there. And it all starts with a criticism and can often start with a joke. And in Australia, if you don't know from overseas, we've had over 15 years of parliamentary inquiries on human behaviour, and we're still going. We have a reckoning in society, and we're only at a 1% capability in even thinking about managing that. We're flat out even identifying cultural problems, and we're not as friendly in many areas that we used to be. I don't think so anyway, and I'm trying to get that back by addressing some of those behaviours, so please give me the right to do that. I'm qualified mental and physical health, high performance, and I do know where I'm going with this, and it is the right thing to do in a way. However, the evil or the jealous or the narcissistic or psychopaths, like I had to remove from businesses, they are going to be triggered by this, and they don't want us to be helping people or improving ourselves. So I just want you to note that in the criticism, and also note it within yourself. Try and control that evil within yourself, all right? Because no one's perfect. No one knows everything. We don't preach to know everything. However, there are good systems to help people, and there are less efficient systems and behaviors. And one constant in life, as you might have heard, is change. One of the focus species for fish we're going to concentrate on is the mighty barramundi, which can grow to apparently 1.8 meters and 52 kilos as per the CSIRO chart here in Australia. That's a big, big fish. It's a magnificent fish, revered by indigenous culture here in Australia, which dates back over 65,000 years. Lots of hunting and gathering lessons there. And I've been lucky to be a tour guide for culture and the natural world values, and to also promote the genius within that system here in Australia. And I have a lot to talk about in that area. Who knows, one day maybe I'll be taking you out on tour. So we'll be talking a lot about Australia. I'll be flashing different images up over the hundreds of thousands of photos that I've taken, and also flashing up some footage of decades of filming animals in the natural world, which includes filming crocodiles for over 10 years at a mighty location called Cahill's Crossing on the East Alligator River. So it's going to be a fairly rare combination going back 50 years in some podcasts with Rod Harrow Harrison, an international angler. A lot of people around the world know him, and especially back in the US there. He's even fished with Lefty Kreh back in the day. I'll talk a lot about the now, the present, and then also maybe do a bit of a SWOT analysis on the past to improve today to help the industry, but also talk about the future, where we're going to go. It's the best way for you to jump on my wavelength, whatever that is probably to check out the 4 phases of fishing frequency. Lyndon's Fishing there on YouTube and some other sites. Now that'll give you an indication of what level of angler you're at. And once you know that, you can map a more accurate path into the future for you, your pace, with your goals, with your genetics, with your sacrifice and improvement speed. That's real. The fish are out there, just do this lure catches them all. That's not real. That's hearsay. Or someone caught a fish last week. Someone caught a fish 3 Aboriginal seasons ago, like 3 months ago. Got nothing to do with fishing today. So that's all hearsay. So there's 2 different versions of it. You're going to like reality or a fake dream. So take your pick. Most people like to stay in the dream in most parts of life. However, in high performance, we have to be very, very clinical, very forthright, looking the person straight at them saying, look, we're here. We had 40 points scored against us last week. Our defense isn't good. On average, all of you missed 2 tackles. We're all doing tackle practice. First session back this week. That's just that. That's it. Very few people look at fishing like that. And a lot of people report fish, or I caught 60 fish the other day, but you don't know how many fish they missed. You don't know how many hours per fish. You don't know what could have been done if you had better anglers on board, what mistakes they made. So you just don't know what they could have done fishing a week leading up, and a week after. They might not fish that many times in the year. So there's context needed, and context is reality again, and people don't like that for some reason, which usually is because of jealousy and ego. So if you want to make a better scene, you want to be a better human yourself, it's advisable to deal in some reality-based terms. So that'll be a different language in fishing, and I'm just alerting you now. But it might take a bit of getting used to, or you might not have heard people talk like that before. It's also called being professional, and if you want to be a professional angler in front of sponsors, or right in front of people that may fund you in the future, or look up to you or follow you, you need to be heading down that path. The other path has its limitations, and their limitations have been passed on to you now. You're as good an angler as you can be due to that older system, all right? And systems always get updated, and sometimes they go through a massive and very, very quick update, just like when you download a new app. I've been recording this stuff for decades. At times I fished living in a one-bedroom donga, they call it. It's just like a mining donga out near a river. I could hear the fish biting. I could fish 2 times a day if I wanted, or 3. Fish hundreds and hundreds of days a year, then fished every day. Mapped it with my physical preparation, mental preparation, everything. Went at it like an athlete. And then mapped what I did that was detrimental to fishing, where my ability dropped off. So I might have done one of the very rare research studies here in Australia that anyone's ever done, and then coached anglers at the beginner level, the intermediate level, and the higher level on these fisheries, and saw how they improved or went backwards, and then watched anglers from all around Australia turn up at a location to fish, mapped that, and then watched international anglers turn up. And everyone can learn. We all have strengths, and we can all learn from each angler. It's not a competition. However, in the world of helping people go forward, very few people work in that area, have a brain in that area, and most people think of themselves, so they don't want to help other people. Hit like, share, follow if you like what you're hearing. If you want some topics put up, let me know. I won't be able to cover everything. I'm not saying we know everything here. We're just going to be putting across a perspective of what we've seen, what could maybe be improved, and give you a few different options in life to the mainstream. And one of those options is all the lessons I've learned fishing without a sounder, just raw hunting, but then also underlining and highlighting magazines for over 20 years, the strengths and weaknesses of different writers, and learning from different writers. I still write now, and I'm very thankful we have fishing magazines around, and we want to keep them going and keep tackle shops going too. So I'm here to support you guys as well, and girls. But welcome to fishing. It's going to be a fun journey. A lot of it's going to be about outback Australia. There might be some funny stories in there as well. We have a good sense of humor out here in Australia. We have a lot of good people, but like many Western societies in the world, we have a lot of agitation at the moment, a lot of lost people, and a lot of nastiness online, and that's crept into the fishing scene. So keep the names of anyone being negative towards me, and always ask them, why can't you support instead of sabotage? Instead of being evil, why don't you help instead of hindering? Why can't you do something to help like Lyndon is? Maybe you could say that to them. What's your plan for me? You don't stand for anything. You don't stand for other people. You don't want to help other people. So why are you stopping this person from helping? The reason I talk like this is because I have been a tour guide with truckloads of people from all around the world in Australia out on country each day. And I started with no boundaries, as we call them in personal development. And then I ended up with a 20-minute talk about behaviour. It was that bad. It was out of control. People attacked. So if I didn't do the talk, the tour was terrible because someone had ruined the experience later on in the day. And I don't want that to happen to you here in the podcast. So I couldn't just go in with there's good in all people, trust all people, maybe a little bit naive. I can't go in with that theory in the podcast world because at the moment, there's about 1% control that's needed for the anxiety, depression, and suicide-causing behaviours from online comments. In our lifetime, that might be getting cleaned up, and hats off to Australia. I've met some really good people in that area federally and even at state level, and we may be leading the world in that area with bringing laws in. So that's cool for Australia because we're also going to be dead last in a few areas, possibly mammal extinction, and I think we're number one for bullying at the school, or number 2 at schools, to Latvia, and then number 1 in a certain area at work. So we have a lot of work to do. And what I did note when I took mental health tours out on country fishing is that when people attack people fishing, we had no safe zone in life because a lot of people didn't have a safe home. The online world wasn't safe and the workplace wasn't safe. So you can see where I'm coming from here. I don't want this podcast to end up with that group. I know that group is out there. I know they're unhappy. I know they don't have a better plan to move people forward, even anglers forward, than I do. So I just need to keep them away, and I need to alert you to their game. Sorry to have to tell you all that. Yeah. I have no choice, all right? Otherwise, you'd be asking me after a few podcasts, what is going on down there in that country of yours with the podcast? You're just talking about fishing and helping people. What's wrong with that? So I don't have to answer that question now. It's going to be good fun, I hope. Hope to meet some of you. Hope it helps you out. I'm not going to be able to give everything away for free. Obviously, this is my life. I put 400,000 hours into this and lots of days in 37 to 45 degrees, punishing myself, fishing hundreds of days a year, living remote, thousands of kilometers away from friends and family, out of phone contact, systemizing it, writing it, studying at uni, studying sports coaching, studying mental health, studying specific track and field coaching. So I've taken a lot, and then tens of thousands of hours of thinking to systemize it at high level. Even stopped drinking alcohol, trimmed down different parts of diet with dairy, and really went at it hardcore for a long period of sustained time, hundreds and hundreds of sessions, thousands of fish a year, and watching thousands of anglers per year and assessing all of them until I got to a pretty good point where I think I've done enough work as the entry to get a seat at this table, whatever seat that is, and then start seeing who's out there in the world, who are the good people in the world, what are the good countries, what are the good cultures, and live a good life together, and hopefully make a better world together, and use fishing as a vehicle, and make sure it's a nice, friendly, healthy, and safe zone for all of us in the future, especially the children. Thank you. I'm going to end podcast 1 here and now. I look forward to interacting with you in the future. I wish you all the best, whatever you're doing in life right now. I hope you're healthy and happy. And always remember, let's try and keep the outdoors a mentally and physically healthy place.